Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another arbitrary episode of The Gold Standard with Alan Mosley. And here's your host, Alan Mosley.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of The Gold Standard. I am your host, Alan Mosley. This is episode 50. And so thank you for joining us for episode 50. I'm so glad you could be here. Guys, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so at facebook.com/TGS Alan Mosley. Blake, hold on. I actually have all of these up today.
You really do?
Yeah, no, I have everything. Check this out.
Hold on. Let me do a couple little tricks here. Mix. Bam. Oh, there it
Boom,
is. You're
look
up.
at that.
Look at that.
So that actually is facebook.com/TGS Alan Mosley. And you know what else, too? We always pin the most recent episode to the top of the front page.
So you can see it and
so
share it.
You'll always know where we're at.
That's right.
And now that says 49, which would make you think this is episode 50. But
it's not.
But here's a secret. We kind of just tape whenever we want. And you get the episodes weekly, but that doesn't necessarily mean we tape that way. So this is episode 50, but that was the last episode that we advertised. And that was with Gene Epstein. That was a good episode.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
That was a really good one.
Yeah. We got lots more after that one, too, which is amazing.
Oh, yeah. So facebook.com/TGS Alan Mosley. Twitter is at Alan M. Mosley. Look at that. Yeah, I know. It's got a picture of Bernie.
God, not him. I can't stand that guy.
I know. Actually, that wasn't planned. That just happens to be at the top of my feed. It's actually Babylon Bee. If you're not following Babylon Bee, you should be doing so. It says 500-year-old socialist key to youth vote in 2020. That's the kind of stuff. Babylon Bee is like The Onion, but for specifically kind of like the Liberty crowd. But I really enjoy it, so that's why it's at the top of the feed. And also, too, check again. Yeah. Go to at Alan and Mosley. Look at that. The top thing pinned is always our most recent episode.
That's right.
You can't mess this stuff up.
And that is a handsome website. That is a handsome
Look at that.
website.
It's a pretty good profile.
That's right.
And of course, democracy is cancer. That's the kind of stuff that I post on there. So if you need that type of violent rhetoric, then you go to at Alan M. Mosley.
That's right.
But you don't have to do any of that because you can just go to our website, which is thegoldstandardpodcast.com. Look at that. Check that out.
All right, check it out. Bam.
That's the Gold Standard podcast.com, where you can find us on Stitcher, Google Play, and look at that. You have all the information at your feet. You don't even need me for anything. I'm now redundant. I've outlived my usefulness.
You are on so many platforms.
And look at that. You know how I always say you don't have to do any of that because you can just go look. There's Facebook. There's Twitter. Recent episode. Actually, that's Walter Block, so I've been bad. I haven't updated the front. I mean, it's there. It's actually in the episodes section, but it's not on the front page. But look at Walter. He's looking good. Yeah, maybe not as clean-shaven as we would like, but what can you do? Yeah. And that's where you can also find you can also find my articles all in one place on our website. Yeah, I write.
You do write.
I do write.
You write a lot.
Yeah, you can actually contact us on here, but I don't actually read anything you say. But you feel like you
unless you say something incredibly insulting, in which you yes.
I did have really quick before I go to my next little bit here. One of the recent articles that I wrote was on the atom bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and we're actually going to talk about that at the end of the episode today because I write the articles and usually they're just about things that I just feel like. It just strikes me, and I write about it. Sometimes it's a historical thing. Sometimes it's an economic thing. Sometimes it is current events, but, it could be anything. But that one got me some of the most just not even necessarily hateful, but just weird responses from people. And I had this one guy. I'm not gonna show it to everybody because I'm being nice today. But one guy went to our contact us page on our website, and he copied and pasted like this 10-page article from 1981 that was talking about roughly the same thing, but with some subtle differences in the op-ed. Yeah. And I was like, what was I supposed to do with this information? Like, first of all, I didn't read it, because why would I read this wall of text?
Was he accusing you of plagiarism or something?
No. Okay. He didn't say anything. It was literally just from Bob, and then just a copy-paste of an article, because there's... Like, why? Who does that?
What's the point?
I don't know. I don't know what the point he was. First of all, I didn't actually read the whole thing, because why would I?
Why would you?
But I don't understand what the point was. I don't know if he was saying you're wrong and here's why, or if he was saying you're right and here's why. Or I don't know. I don't think he was his article. Like
True.
his name wasn't the same one as the name in the article. So I don't really. So if you're that guy, contact us at thegoldstandardpodcast.com/contact us and type in there why you sent that article.
Yeah, because we'd really like to know.
I mean, if it's a good reason, I'll actually follow up on this topic.
How many articles do you remember from 1981?
Well, I was born in 85.
So, yeah.
So
not really very many. So.
Less than ideal number.
Yeah, true.
But so while we're on that subject, so look, our website, look at this right here. So you click on this little button at the top right that says donate. And watch this. It pulls up a link to PayPal. And you can tell that that's me because it says Alan Mosley and there's a gold coin. If there's another Alan Mosley who spells it ALAN, who has a PayPal connected to a show and uses a gold coin as their thing, and it's not me, you know what? They deserve it. They should have my money. But this is me. And so what you do is you go in here and you type we're not doing our thing.
Hey.
We type 999 99
Come on.
999.
That's a lot of
9. So you type that and watch. You can't do it anymore.
You can't go any
That's
higher
what we
than
were saying the other day. It actually won't let you.
There is a limit to what you can send in PayPal.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
There's not a limit to what I want you to send.
Right.
But there's a limit to what PayPal
will allow you to send. Sure.
I'm sure there's a reason.
Yeah.
I wonder what that is.
I don't know.
It probably has something to do with terrorism or Homeland Security bullshit.
Or like I said last week, Tesla's flying around the Earth.
Yeah.
With junk
so
men in it.
you click next, and then you click whatever, you put in your card information. Notice I'm not. But you do that. But hold on, we got one more.
Okay, show us again.
What else you can do? So remember last week when I said, so our Patreon just hasn't been up for like 6 months because I edited something and never clicked republish.
Brilliant. Man.
So I did click republish this time.
So it's up and working now.
So if you go to patreon.com/TGS, God, whoever's listening to this right now is like, we're like 20 minutes into the episode and they're just plugging their bullshit. This is the last one.
We promise.
This is the last one.
Last one.
Patreon.com/TGS Alan Mosley is where you can go and you click subscribe, and there's different tiers. And so if you just join for $1, then you're going to be a real libertarian.
Yep.
See that? Real libertarian. And it's little L, because if it's a big L, you're not going to show. And then you've got tiers all the way down to $35 a month. But don't let that fool you. You can go $999.999 if you want. Yeah. But that's just some tiers that are set up on Patreon. Yeah. Look at that. There's Walter Block again.
There he is.
And so
we see more of him.
So as the Patreon subscribers roll in, we do have. So people don't know this. We have some hidden content, some things that are in the vault that we've never really. Frankly, some of the things that are in the vault are probably our most entertaining things.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Not gonna. I know you agree because you're featured heavily in it. But some of the stuff that we have that we never released is pretty cool.
Worth the seed, trust me.
Yeah, some movie reviews.
Absolutely.
Of classic 1980s George Lucas fantasy films,
and possibly some more if we wish.
Some music videos.
Yep. And a few other crawling nasties that shouldn't be let into the public view. So
so there's some cool stuff. So that's where you go. So I'm actually going to close all that nonsense, and we're going to wrap up the first segment today by going back to Twitter. One of the themes of today's episode is going to be, election season is like right around. I know, it's right around the corner, and so now we're in that window where all the potential candidates
I feel like
are.
We're always in election season. Does it ever end? I mean, gosh.
Well, it's because now the 24-hour news cycle is promoting, the potential upcoming candidates and the statements being made by who's who. Like they're starting that out so many months ahead of the actual campaign season that. I mean, if you think about it, if you have midterms and then you have your term elections, you're every 4 years and 2 years, and if those take about 6 months apiece, but then you start 6 months earlier with, is he or isn't he going to run? Yeah. Bernie Sanders said this today. Then you're basically year round. Like that's that's how it happens. But this is democracy is cancer, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Hashtag democracy is cancer, and one of my running things that I'm going to be doing now is when I see a post by a moron like this, I'm just going to reply to them with democracy is cancer. So this is some lady who's a moron, who said, vote blue no matter who. No third-party votes, no protest votes, and no hashtag never whoever. Just vote blue no matter who. Now, I know what she's trying to say. She's trying to say we have to consolidate our votes on a single candidate, and she's talking about presidential. That's what she's talking about. So, we all have to vote for Kamala Harris, even though she's a warmonger and threw innocent people in jail when she was a prosecutor. Like, I understand she's a total fucking monster, you guys, but we all have to decide to vote on one person because we have to resist Trump. If that's all it takes, that's all it takes for you to vote for a monster, as long as the monster that you chose is the monster that lords over you, as opposed to the monster somebody else chose.
Yeah, as long as it's your monster, it's okay.
Democracy is cancer.
Democracy sucks.
Yeah.
I never believed that before. Never did I ever believe that.
Well, what's funny is...
It's disappointing.
And she specifically says no protest votes, no never who. So basically what she's saying is I want you to vote for my candidate, no matter if it's literally Hitler. I mean, this is how that happens.
They said vote red or you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Well, rather dead than red is the right way to put that.
It's still a threat.
Well, and the festivities have already begun too. Like I've already because Bernie Sanders just recently declared that he's running, which I don't think was really that unexpected. But I've already seen people saying that, well, if you vote Sanders and not Elizabeth Warren, I'm gonna think you're sexist. I'm like, it's these people, they eat each other alive.
That's okay though. Let them fight all over themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know. I mean, but that's
the thing. It's a great show.
I know, but that's the thing is that they're waffling back and forth between they eat each other alive, trying to signal who's the most SJWE of the group. But at some point, they have to coalesce around one just piece of shit because they have to have enough votes to beat Trump, who's a piece of shit.
Right.
That
all comes down to who's got the larger piece of shit.
Yeah. Well.
But in kink.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this is what we're gonna do. I know you can't see the screen right now, but no, don't bring it up. I'm closing Twitter. It's gone.
When you say that, I get all
and we're done
excited.
with it. We're done with Twitter for today.
Oh.
So I think that's a good intro.
That is a good intro.
God, I was gonna have I'm trying to clean up the show and not have so much swearing.
Well, if you're trying to do that, you done blown
But
it
yeah, but we said piece of shit now already like 17
you also
times.
use the F word, man.
There's a South Park episode like that where
Really?
the theme of the episode is like everyone's glued to their TV because some drama is going to say the word shit for the first time on TV. And so this is an older South Park, so it's like a big deal. But of course, South Park being South Park, they have a counter in the bottom corner of the screen. And the characters of South Park are saying shit.
That's awesome.
While they're waiting on the TV to say shit. And the counter goes up one every time. So, I mean, it ends at like 100 or something.
That's awesome.
So South Park being South Park, they say the word shit like hundreds of times throughout the course of that one.
No, of course.
Yeah. So we should do
to set
that.
A world record or something.
How hard would it be for us to have a little counter where every single time we say...
Very hard. I don't have those kind of toys.
Right now, Blake is thinking, oh, great, I'm being volunteered for more editing. We were just working on ways we can cut editing so that I could figure out a way to have more editing. That's a good segment.
Good spot for a break.
We've covered absolutely nothing, but we have a lot to get to. So we're going to do that right after this break.
Are you not entertained?
Have you ever been talking politics with a friend and told, if you don't like it here, you should just move to Somalia?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, from the sandy beaches of Mogadishu, Sherry and I bring you Postcards from Somalia, one of the newer products of Little L Productions, where we take on all of the fallacies of the people who say, if you don't like it, you can just get out.
Your ad could be playing right now, reaching thousands of potential customers. Sadly, it's not, but it could be. Find out how to be an advertised sponsor for The Gold Standard with Alan Mosley. Email us at tgsalanmosley@gmail.com. You know, we haven't been doing these segment things for very long.
No.
With our little commercial breaks, you know?
Yeah, but they're great. They're great.
And I don't know, I haven't decided yet how comfortable I feel about coming back in. Like, do I say, welcome back to the show, everybody, welcome back? Or do you say, welcome back? Because you're the announcer. Or do I,
I don't
say
know.
it?
What should I do?
I do like.
What should we do?
You have Pac-Man right there.
I
See
have
that?
Pac-Man.
Hold on.
Where's Pac-Man?
Keep the camera on you. There's a Pac-Man arcade machine right there.
That's
now.
right. We have a lot of fun in here, don't we?
We do. If people are wondering, this show is so unprepared. I wonder why. It's because we're playing Pac-Man and Rampage.
Right.
And Rampage, you see it?
Rampage.
No, pull it back.
Right
There's
over there.
Rampage.
It's over there somewhere.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Is this not the coolest studio of a libertarian podcast?
Yes, it is.
Which there's only like 2.
Yeah.
But of those 2, we're the coolest because we have Pac-Man.
Yes, it is. That's true.
So, all right. So let me make a note real quick on I got my little.
Yeah, your note cards.
So let me make a note real quick.
Uh-huh.
That's
a
bad segment transition. So we're not
Take note, ladies and gentlemen.
So there it is right there.
Right there. That is
you
bad.
You can't really see it. So that's a bad segment transition.
Very good.
So we're not going to do that one.
Okay, we're not doing that one.
But we're not editing it out, so we're going to leave it.
Yeah, very good.
So we're trying to get back to doing memes of the week.
We are.
And so we're going to do 3 memes of the week this week to make up for like the last month of not doing a meme of the week. So let me pull up the first one.
Okay.
Believe in something.
Believe in something.
Even if it didn't happen.
Okay, you want me to hit the switch? Hit it?
Yeah.
You sure? Okay, here we go.
What? You're ruining it.
I'm not ruining it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Okay,
just do it. I mean, in fact, it's Nike, so just do it. There you go. So we're not actually gonna we could do a whole episode about this garbage. This Justin Smollett and his hate crime.
Oh my God! So wait a minute, is this the dude?
Yeah, and the Nigerian brothers, and the noose, and But we're not gonna do a whole segment on that because by the time this episode comes out,
old news.
It's gonna not only is it gonna be old news, but frankly, I never want to have the cops involved because if the cops get involved, they'll just murder someone's dog.
Yeah.
But isn't filing a false report a thing? Isn't that a thing?
Oh yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did.
Yeah. So unless you're a Democrat, then it's okay.
Yeah. So he should be I think what's left out of this whole controversy of he obviously faked the whole freaking thing is. Yeah, his reputation will be marred for having done it. But if you or I did this, not only would our reputation be marred, but we'd be getting a knock at the door from the popo.
Yeah.
They'd kill your dog, or they'd kill your llama, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, you'd be fined or something for filing a false report, which is what he did. So call it what it is. He's a fucking liar.
Yeah. Do you think the guy's ever going to get charged for that?
No.
Well, I don't know why.
Actually, it's not. I don't hope that he does because I really just don't ever want the cops involved in anything.
Right.
And I also believe, I don't believe in punishment. I believe in restitution. So if anything, he should have to say that. Well, yeah, I did what I did. Big fuck up on my part. So I'm gonna do a public apology, which no one ever accepts. So it's pointless.
Sure.
But maybe he should have to go do something with the community.
Yeah.
Actually, because he was trying to frame MAGA hat people. Not that I give a fuck about them anyway. But he should have to wear a MAGA hat and do a thing on TV or something. I think that would be cool.
True.
But I mean, that's not, and that's not really even it's not that doesn't actually hurt you or cost you money or that's not putting you in jail or anything.
Did he get booted off his show for it?
No, nothing's gonna happen.
Jeez.
You know what? I tell you what. This is my prediction. So by the time this episode comes out, we'll know if this is happening or not. My prediction is that. If it hasn't already happened, will happen soon enough. Is people will start to make there'll be articles and people will start to make the case that because Trump is so bad and because racism is so prevalent in America, he was pushed to do what he did, and so we should still be evaluating ourselves in society.
Yeah. Well, that works for him, but you or I hawk a loogie on a sidewalk and it's curtains.
Oh, I mean, it'll work for him because all the heat will be off him instantly. People will have totally forgot what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's number one. Let's move on to number two. Number two is...
Here we go.
When someone hugs me and I know they felt my holster.
Ooh. Are you sure that was a holster?
I feel bad for the people who don't see. You actually would see these if you go to facebook.com/TGS Alan Mosley.
Yeah, this is definitely
because they're
one
all
of those.
on there. I'm getting them from me.
Yeah.
But Jeff Goldblum is just a creepy SOB.
Did you ever see Earth Girls Are Easy?
No.
Oh my God, dude, you need to check that one out.
I like Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, that's a Jeff Goldblum classic.
I like
right there.
Jeff Goldblum. I'm just saying that picture right there is really creepy. Look at that.
Yeah. Good night.
Since this whole episode is me going on goat trails, I'm going to go on another one.
Uh-oh.
So he was on Saturday Night Live back in the day when like Will Ferrell and that whole gang was still on. And Will Ferrell used to do a skit where he pretended to be Harry Carey, the old Cubs announcer Harry Carey. Yeah. And so he was like, "Hi, welcome to the show." You know, the whole thing. Yeah. And he had on Jeff Goldblum, but Jeff Goldblum was playing the role of like a scientist or something.
Okay.
And Harry Carey was asking him, this is just really retarded questions. And so Harry, it's my favorite SNL skit. He goes, "Let me ask you this. What would you rather be the top scientist in your field or have mad cow disease?" And Jeff Goldblum goes, "Well, I guess I'd rather be the top scientist in my field."
Well, of course.
And he goes, "Oh, good, I thought you'd pick mad cow." And he says, "Well, why would you think that?" "Well, it's because I'm a worrier. That's why my friends call me Whiskers." And earlier they had said it's because he's curious as a cat. So he goes, "I thought you were Whiskers because you were as curious as a cat." So he goes, "Well, that's all the time we have for today." So that's where I get that from. So now whenever we have a guest or whatever and they say something mean to me or whatever, that's why that's all the time we have for today. That's where I get it from. It's my favorite SNL sketch, which it's not a huge surprise that Will Ferrell's in it because when he was on it, I don't like Will Ferrell now. When he was on SNL, it was pretty high.
Funny.
But Jeff Goldblum, I mean, it was really funny. I really liked it. So now this has become a Jeff Goldblum appreciation episode. So let's move on to the last meme of the week.
You still need to see Earth Girls Are Easy.
Last meme of the week right here. Get in, loser. We're off to confiscate the public's gold and round up the Japanese.
Gosh.
You got FDR right there.
Man.
Now this it's got a few different meanings. So for one, it's the meme speaks for itself. FDR was a monster. Was a piece of shit, like everybody else we've talked about. And he put the Japanese in camps because that actually happened in this country. Yeah. And right now I can already hear like someone's writing a comment saying, "Well, you have to understand the time." No, dude, kill yourself. No. Euthanasia.com, go there. So, but this has two other meetings for us today. So first of all, we said earlier Bernie Sanders announced his candidacy for 2020.
Right, sure.
He announced it on the day that was the anniversary of them or FDR ordering the Japanese to be put in camps. How appropriate is that? That FDR, who was one of the worst presidents, I mean, and there's tough competition for worst president, one of the worst presidents of all time. I don't know if he's the worst. I would say he's in the top three worst. I guess bottom three. Yeah. He's in the bottom three, but I wouldn't rank it past that. I put him in the bottom three, but he's a demigod to these leftist socialists. I mean, I'm sure Bernie Sanders thinks FDR is a great American or something, and so it's so ironic that that's the day that he announced.
I wonder if there's any correlation there.
I don't think they're clever enough. Yeah. I mean, if anything, I think if they had actually bothered to look that up, they would not have announced that day, actually. Because I'm not the first person to make mention of that. I read that elsewhere where people were saying, he announced on this day of all days. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, but they don't really care about American history anyways because they just want to do everything over again.
Nobody.
Yeah, they don't pay attention.
Yeah, it's a do-over.
Yeah, let's just do everything over and do it worse than before.
Yeah.
Because they think they can do it better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Keep going.
And so the other way we're going to transition this is I actually wanted to bring up, so we've talked a couple of times on the show about how some of the hate mail we've gotten and different things for the article I wrote about the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Mm-hmm. So I actually wanted to highlight that article today. Okay. And as I'm doing that, I just want to point out, get ready for a quick little slideshow here, Blake.
Okay.
I just want to point out, this article was featured on LewRockwell.com.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Good job.
All right. So the holy trinity of getting your articles out there, if you're a libertarian, is Mises, Fee, and Lew Rockwell.
Well, now you've done all three, right?
Check this out. Lew Rockwell. And there's my profile on Fee. I have one of those. And look at the most recent article. Boom. There it is right there.
Good job.
And check this out. There's my profile on Mises Institute. And look at that. Most recent article. Boom.
Nice. Good job.
And look at this. It actually got aggregated on ZeroHedge.
Wow.
Look at that. I'm on ZeroHedge for this article. So that's nothing for like These professional writers like your Jim Bovards and your Mike Maharys who write stuff literally every week and get published. It's not a big deal for them, but it's a big deal for me because I don't actually write for a living.
Yeah. Well, good for you.
Yeah. So
you should write for a living.
Well, I don't know because I didn't get paid for any of this.
Well, you don't get paid at first.
No, I didn't get paid anything, so I don't know if I should do that for a living or not. But it makes me happy. So I get to have an episode every so often where I just
gloat on yourself.
I just gloat.
Heck yeah.
So we're actually going to pull up this article. The atomic bombing of Japan reconsidered. I don't actually remember what I named it because that's what happens when you publish something is that you write your article and they can do some edits or whatever, and you can have like a suggested title or whatever, but they'll usually name it whatever they want, right? Because they're the editors, they're going to do it.
Yeah, and they're just better at writing titles.
I will say no, they're not. They're worse at writing titles.
I was being facetious.
They're way worse at writing titles. They write titles that are like typical headline. I get that.
Yeah,
my titles are always spicy, and they probably see mine like, oh, we can't print that.
Yeah,
like I did the don't vote article this past fall, and I got that published pretty much everywhere, and my title was abstinence only voter education, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, nobody did that. Everybody deleted that.
Yep.
And it was just don't vote, or whatever. But anyway, I'm not complaining. I'm just happy they post our stuff.
Simpled it down.
So this was the notorious article. And I want to kind of read through this with everybody and kind of go over a couple of points. In the summer of 1945, President Harry Truman found himself searching for a decisive blow against the Empire of Japan. Despite the many Allied victories during 44 and 45, Truman believed Emperor Hirohito would urge his generals to fight on. So you're establishing that narrative of, well, we have to do something major because otherwise this will drag out for a long time. That's kind of the common theme of opponents of what we're saying here. America suffered 76,000 casualties at the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa, and the Truman administration anticipated that a prolonged invasion of mainland Japan would bring even more devastating numbers. Even so, plans were drawn up to invade Japan under the name Operation Downfall. So before the bombs came along, it was assumed that mainland Japan would be invaded in the same way that the Pacific Islands were, and it would be rough.
It could have been a state of Japan.
Now, that's the narrative, like that's your typical history book right there.
Yeah.
But let's go on. The estimates for the potential carnage were sobering. The Joint Chiefs of Staff pegged the expected casualties at 1.2 million. Staff for Admiral Chester Nimitz and General Douglas MacArthur both expected over 1,000 casualties per day, while the personnel at the Department of the Navy thought the totals would run as high as 4 million, with the Japanese incurring up to 10 million of their own. The Los Angeles Times was a bit more optimistic, projecting only 1 million casualties. So,
because they're just numbers, they're not lives.
Now, those were all just estimates, but look, the point of the article is not to dispute that in an event where the war was continuing, Japan wanted to fight, and we invaded mainland Japan. I'm not saying it wouldn't have been bad.
Yeah.
That wasn't the point.
Right.
So it's with those numbers, it's no wonder the U.S. opted to literally take the nuclear option by dropping Little Boy on Hiroshima on August 6th and then Fat Man on Nagasaki on August 9th. Japan formally surrendered 24 days later, sparing potentially millions of U.S. servicemen and vindicating the horrifying yet necessary bombings. Now, that's the narrative that we're all taught in grade school.
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not that old. So I was in schools not that long ago, and that was just what people thought.
That's what you believe. That's what they teach you.
But like so many historical narratives, at the very least, you can say it's an oversimplification. At the most, you can just say it's historically obtuse. I like that, by the way, historically obtuse.
Yeah.
It's like a pedantic way of saying you're wrong, loser. But hold on. When Truman signed off on the deployment of the newly developed atomic bombs, he was convinced that the Japanese were planning to prosecute the war to the bitter end. And I don't doubt that's what he thought. Many have argued that the casualty estimates compelled him to err on the side of caution for the lives of his boys in the Pacific. And I don't doubt that he wanted to save troops. But this ignores the fact that other significant figures surrounding Truman came to the opposite conclusion, such as, and these are big names, you'll recognize them, General Dwight D. Eisenhower,
Oh, yeah. What's that
chief
guy?
among the naysayers, said, quote, I was against use of the atomic bomb on 2 counts. First, the Japanese were ready to surrender, and it wasn't necessary to hit them with that awful thing. Yeah. Second, I hated to see our country be the first to use such a weapon.
Yep.
That's quite a statement from someone like Eisenhower. And don't get me wrong, Eisenhower is not without blame.
Right.
For, he's famously quoted as warning against the military-industrial complex after having just finished an administration where he propped up the military-industrial complex. So he deserves some blame, but that's some sobering words by him nonetheless. Although he made that statement publicly in 1963, he made the same argument to then Secretary of War Henry Stimson in 1945. As he recounted in his memoirs, quote, I voiced to him my grave misgivings, first on the basis of my belief that Japan was already defeated and that dropping the bomb was completely unnecessary, and secondly, because I thought that our country should avoid shocking the world opinion by the use of a weapon whose employment was, I thought, no longer mandatory, as a measure to save American lives. So key to Truman's point, Eisenhower believed that that was moot, that this was not necessary to save American lives, much less the Japanese lives that were lost. It was my belief that Japan was, at the very moment, seeking some way to surrender with a minimum loss of face. Now, that's an interesting point. Some of our naysayers would say, no, total surrender. That's what the Truman administration want. Nothing short of complete and total surrender will do. That's some kind of medieval bravado we can do without.
Yeah. Game of Thrones type stuff, right?
That's Game of Thrones type stuff, but without, the dragons. Although we'll talk about Game of Thrones someday where the dragons are weapons of mass destruction. There's a lot of cool parallels there. We'll talk. Quit getting me sidetracked with your Game of Thrones stuff. So, but there's more. Another prominent figure who echoed Eisenhower's sentiments was Fleet Admiral William D. Leahy. He ranked as the senior-most United States military officer on active duty during World War II and was among Truman's chief military advisors. In his 1950 book, I Was There, Leahy wrote, quote, "It is my opinion that the use of this barbarous weapon at Hiroshima and Nagasaki were of no material assistance in our war against Japan. The Japanese were already defeated and ready to surrender because of the effective sea blockade and the successful bombing with conventional weapons. With mainland Japan under a blockade, Japanese forces in China and Korea were effectively cut off from reinforcements and supplies." So again, that's another educated opinion from someone in the know who said the war's done.
Yeah.
What are you trying to prove? And we'll get to that in a second. Ward Wilson of Foreign Policy wrote that the most solemn day for Japan was August 9th, which was the first day that the Japanese Supreme Council met to seriously discuss surrender. The date is significant because it wasn't the day after Hiroshima bombing, but rather the day the Soviet Union entered the Pacific theater by invading Japanese-occupied Manchuria on 3 fronts. Prior to August 8th, the Japanese had hoped that Russia would play the role of intermediary in negotiating an end to the war between Japan and the United States. But when the Russians turned against Japan, they became an even bigger threat than America, as indicated by documents from leading Japanese officials at the time.
Yeah.
Russia's move, in fact, compelled the Japanese to consider unconditional surrender. Until then, they were only open to a conditional surrender that left Emperor Hirohito some dignity and protections from war crimes trials. War concluded that, as in the European theater, Truman didn't defeat Japan, Stalin did. Wow. And now that's an interesting point because, so students of history would know. Now, I'm not like, look, I don't hate America. Like, right. I know people, your uber right-winger boomer who listens to this show for 5 minutes say, oh, that guy just hates America. Yeah. No. I hate the state.
Yeah.
But I don't hate my countrymen by default. I understand that America played a significant role in World War II. Now, we can have the debate of whether World War II was still a just war for America to get in by our philosophy, but we'll leave that neither here nor there. But people at the time, and people who understand history at all, understand it was Russia that won that war. It was Russia that won the war on the European front, granted with our support, with our tanks, with our guns.
Yep.
But it was their blood. Yeah. There's a famous phrase, and I'm going to butcher it right now, but it was something along the lines of that the war was won with with American tanks and Russian blood.
Yeah.
I think something like 50 million Soviets died in combat in World War II. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
But in the same way that they had a huge effect on the European theater, also the Pacific theater. You don't think of Russia involved much in the Pacific theater, although there was fighting between in China between the Russians and Japanese. You tend to think of the Pacific theater as the United States and Japan. You think of the naval combat in the Pacific. But Japan desperately wanted Russia to stay out of the fight. Not because they thought that meant they were going to win. No. It was because they thought that Russia would play peacekeeper between the two. That if Russia came in as, I mean, it's hard to even say as a neutral party, but it came in as a third party to negotiate the surrender. And look, Japan is, the Japanese military and the state, the Japanese state, I shouldn't say Japan, because innocent people are not responsible for anything. Right. Just like you and I are not responsible for Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, whatever. Japan, the people are not responsible for anything. Right. But the state was absolutely responsible for war crimes that were horrific. And should the emperor be forced into war crimes trials for that? Yeah, probably. But if it means, if we can put the kibosh on that and it means the war ends today and there's no more innocent men, women, and children dying, to me, this is a no-brainer. In the war. It doesn't matter how, just in the war. Because the war's over anyway. Yeah. So going back to this, Truman never expressed regret publicly over his decision to use the bombs, but he did order an independent study on the state of the war effort leading up to August of 1945 and the strategic value of Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. It's interesting that he would order that study. Like, why even bother? It's like, what difference does it make at this point? Yeah. In a sense, it doesn't. But the fact that they even had the study means that there was lingering doubt amongst those in the know that they had made the right decision. Yeah. So let's talk about that study. In 1946, the U.S. Bombing Survey published its findings, which concluded as followed, quote, based on a detailed investigation of all the facts and supported by the testimony of the surviving Japanese leaders involved, it is the survey's opinion that certainly prior to 31st December 1945, and in all probability prior to the 1st of November 1945, Japan would have surrendered even if the atomic bombs had not been dropped, even if Russia had not entered the war, and even if no invasion had been planned or contemplated. This is an intensive condemnation of Truman's decision, seeing as Russia did enter the war and plans for an invasion had been developed. So, the reason why I point out this type, because my philosophical beliefs is that you shouldn't be dropping A-bombs on centers of civilian life. Right. That's why the libertarians should be against such a thing. Yep. Because countless innocent civilians died. And that is horrendous. Yep. Period. Full stop. It's an abomination to humankind. Absolutely. But I point out this evidence anyway, just because the Kool-Aid drinking, oorah, love military, love the movie, love the Pacific. Warmongers. Warmongers. The people who went to public schools and believe the crap that they spew. Those people say, well, no, this is all stupid. We dropped the bombs to end the war, you idiot. Like. Dude, the people in the know within the government that you're defending said it wasn't necessary. Yeah. As Timothy P. Carney writes for the Washington Examiner, the fog of war can be a tricky thing. But if we're forced to side with Truman or Eisenhower and the others dissenting military leaders, the Eisenhower position isn't merely valid. It actually aligns better with some fundamental American values. So listen up, right-wing scum. Given all the uncertainty, both at the time and with modern historical revisionism, it's better to look to principle rather than fortune-telling. One principle that should be near the top of everyone's list is this. It's wrong to target civilians with weapons of mass destruction. Period. Yeah, there is a period after that. Yeah. The deliberate killing of innocent men, women, and children by the hundreds of thousands cannot be justified under any circumstances, much less the ambiguous ones Truman encountered. Whether his decision was motivated by indignation towards Japanese, quote, pig-headedness, or concern for his troops, Truman's use of such devastating weapons against non-combatants should not be excused. Americans must strive for complete and honest analysis of the past and present conflicts. And if she is to remain true to her own ideals, America must strive for more noble and moral ends in all conflicts, domestic and foreign, guided by our most cherished first principles, such as the Golden Rule. At the very least, Americans should not try so hard to justify mass murder.
True. It's absolute.
So I had literally hundreds of comments on what I just wrote saying, wrong.
And I just think that people
read a book.
Yeah, you know, the thing is that like when I first heard that assessment, I used to believe. I used to be the warmonger. I used to be the one that believed, yeah, we did the right thing. We had to win the war, and more people would have died if we hadn't have done it. But I think what people can't do is they don't want to allow themselves to feel the guilt for the fact that our country did something so atrocious that they have to accept it. They want to stand and they want to continue to say we did the right thing so that they don't have to accept that guilt.
I take exception with one thing, just because since this is our show, we have to be very clear with our language. Yeah. Our country didn't do anything. The state did that.
Yes, the state.
Military leaders did that.
Yes.
The president did that.
Right. That's what I mean.
Our country didn't do anything.
No.
People, because there is no country, there's only people.
Right.
It's one thing Milton Friedman used to say all the time. I think I'd already mentioned him once in this episode or last night on another program. Is that there's no government. There's no, well, should the government do this? Should they do? There's just people.
Yeah.
Only people can do things.
Right.
So let's focus on the people who do the things, whether right or wrong. And if you consider this to be morally bankrupt, which I absolutely do, then call out the people responsible for it.
Sure.
And even though I'm no, die-in-the-wolf fan of someone like an Eisenhower or a Leahy, but be willing to speak out and say, well, look, these people that are opponents, the people who think that this type of bombing is legitimate, those people are the type of people shedding a tear and saluting the flag at people like Eisenhower and Leahy when they walk down the street. Your heroes are the ones saying this wasn't necessary. We shouldn't have done this. And I really want to make one final point before we go to the break, is that a lot of people believe that at the end of the day, they knew the bomb wasn't necessary to end the war. They dropped the bomb because they wanted to show the Soviet Union, look what we can do.
Yeah.
That to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dead, innocent people to make a point. If that's not just abhorrent to you, euthanasia.com. I don't know what else to say.
Have it on speed dial, man.
If that's not abhorrent to you, then this is not the right program for you. I don't know. I don't know what I can say that's going to change your mind if you don't understand that that's wrong.
Yeah.
So if you know what, let me know what you think of that art. If anybody hasn't already checked it out and you're watching this episode, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
And if you think that that's utterly absurd, let us know.
And why?
If you disagree, we'll ban you. So that's fine. But go ahead. Do it.
Just like Facebook.
Just do it. It's fine. We'll be right back after this. Hey, did you see the playoff games last weekend?
Oh, you're into the sports ball game.
Sports Ball with Mike Meharry and Alan Mosley. SportsBallPodcast.com.
Sports ball is not a libertarian sports show. It's a sports show done by a couple of libertarians.
For when you need your bread and circuses.
Your ad could be playing right now, reaching thousands of potential customers. Sadly, it's not, but it could be. Find out how to be an advertised sponsor for The Gold Standard with Alan Mosley. Email us at tgsalanmosley@gmail.com. Am I supposed to say, welcome back to the show? See, we went a whole segment, we never decided what I was doing.
Are you going to do that or not? Welcome back to the show? I mean, I like welcome back to the show. Everybody does that.
Well, because there was a commercial.
How much? Oh, we're back. Oh my.
Well, because what I had been doing is I literally just sit here squinty-eyed at the camera and say, oh.
I like your nonchalant way of just kind of oozing back into it. You know what I mean? Oozing back into it. Sliding back into it.
We're oozing in.
Slipping back into it.
This is getting rated R really quick. I don't know. So, Blake, what did you learn today?
Well, as I always come back with you when you ask that question, absolutely nothing. Because all I do is sit over there and daydream while you're talking away. But no. What did I learn today? Well, I did not know that about Eisenhower. That he was against it.
Yep.
I did not know that. So that to me is interesting. I'm going to read up some more about that and learn more. I heard that there were several people that were higher up that were against the atomic bomb. But I'm kind of surprised that he was one of them because I think he changed his tune a few years later, didn't he? As far as like what he did as president. So, yeah. And, well, if you have to use a weapon of mass destruction on citizens, you're probably a monster and you shouldn't do it. And I'm not held responsible for that. I didn't do it. Did you do it?
No.
No.
I wasn't here, but if
I wasn't around either.
If I had been here, I would have said, no, don't.
Right.
Stop.
Wonder
Because
what
they
it
don't
was
listen
like.
to us.
Yeah, I wonder what it was like to be an American in those days.
If I had to guess, I would say most people were so eat up with all the war propaganda of, well, you know, we're trying to save the world and save capitalism, save democracy.
Save everything.
Which, you know, you can let democracy die if you want.
So you're saying they had a hero complex?
Well, I mean, that's just, you know, the greatest generation and all that crap that's out there. Is that, you know, I've known plenty of people that I thought were perfectly wonderful people that came from that time period.
Yeah.
But I don't buy into this whole greatest generation. I certainly don't like deify politicians. Like
Of course not.
You're never going to see me like you see people say that, oh, you know, so and so, they handled this crisis so well. Look at their leadership. I'm like, no, they didn't do jack shit. The people that were down there on the street cleaning up the rubble, pulling their radiated family members out from underneath roofs, and those people did things.
Yeah, those are the heroes.
You didn't do shit. What shits are we up to?
I think we're up to 14.
Okay. Ooh. So we don't have a literal counter, but
You might want to count that. I'm probably off by a few.
Okay. So let's do a reverse order. So we talked about the bombings and how bombing innocent people is wrong. But shocking to hear, I know.
I'm surprised because I thought it was totally okay to do that.
We had our memes of the week.
Yep. 3.
Yeah, we had 3 memes of the week.
I like it.
And we're not going to talk about the hoax because it's stupid. And then we also had all of our sites, which is Facebook.com/TGS Alan Mosley.
That's right.
There is at Alan M. Mosley on Twitter. There's our website, which is thegoldstandardpodcast.com.
Yes.
There is, you can support us on Patreon, which is patreon.com/TGS Alan Mosley.
Right.
What am I forgetting? Is there anything else?
Oh, our website, of course.
Huh?
The Gold Standard.
Yeah, I already said thegoldstandardpodcast.com.
See, I told you I don't pay attention to anything.
Yeah, you're actually sitting here next to me on camera and you're not even paying any attention.
You did it so fast, it went all over my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a true blonde.
You do look very Germany.
I do? Okay.
You're
Here's
very,
this chin here.
You're very German-esque.
I'm German-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am German.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But that doesn't mean I believe in socialism, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
I wasn't accusing you of anything. I was just saying. I was just making a point, and I knew you were in fact
Yes,
German.
I am in fact
That's
German.
why I
Yes.
said that. I wasn't saying, and therefore you're a piece of shit like everyone else on the show. I didn't say anything. You were a little defensive, I think.
I'm not defensive.
You should lay down on the couch and we'll talk about this. So why do you feel so defensive about your German heritage?
I'm not defensive about my German heritage.
So in typical form, this is degenerated to a point where it's no longer a show.
Yeah, absolutely. We just kind of end it in banter. You're welcome to chime in if you wish.
But I do want to say really quick before we go,
Okay.
you've probably noticed in our ads over the last few weeks, check out our other programs on Little L Productions. There's 2 others that I actually take part in. There is Sports Ball with Mike and Alan, which is a sports show done by a couple of anarchists. It's not a libertarian show of sports people. It's a sports show by libertarians.
Right.
We actually talk about real sports. It's actually pretty freaking good. Not going to lie. It's better than anything that's on ESPN.
Yeah.
So,
and I've heard you're pretty knowledgeable.
Yeah.
You kind of know your stuff there, don't you?
Yeah.
I know nothing about sports.
Yeah. I just gamble. That's how
Yeah. That's
And
how you
then-
afford that suit.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go to Postcards from Somalia.
Right.
Postcards from Somalia, which I do with our friend Sherry.
Yep.
Now, Postcards from Somalia, for anyone who hasn't listened to that before, that is like what we're doing right now, but for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
That is just us ranting about all the things we hate.
Except faster.
Yeah, we do talk faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talk too slow.
Yeah.
I've been told that.
You're a farmer, though.
Yeah.
You know what you should have?
What should I do?
Don't wear a suit. You should have like the straw hat.
Some overalls and a straw hat?
Yeah.
I think it'll fit my character better.
Your character. So you're actually acknowledging that this is all fake.
It's all fake.
That's what I like.
Totally fake, man.
I guess we should go.
Yep.
Thank you so much for tuning in for episode 59, and we will see you next week.